Bismillah, welcome to Between Faith and Finance Navigating Wealth in the West, the podcast where we explore how to build wealth, make smart financial decisions, and stay true to our Islamic values, especially as Muslims living in the West. I'm your host, Abdul Ali Muhammad, a certified public accountant and a real estate agent. And this podcast was created for those of us who are trying to navigate real life financial decisions while still holding firmly into our Islamic values. Because let's be honest, many of the modern financial systems around us were not designed with our values in mind. And that leaves a lot of us asking difficult questions. Questions like, is this halal? Is this necessary? Am I compromising my faith or just trying to survive in the system I'm in? That's exactly why we're here, between faith and finance, navigating wealth in the West. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that almost every Muslim living in the West has had to think about at some point, and that is insurance. Is it permissible? Is it something we should avoid? Or is it a necessity in today's world? And more importantly, how do we approach it in a way that aligns with our faith while still protecting ourselves and families? To help us unpack this, I'm joined by a very interesting guest, a Muslim professional who has been in this industry and has directly worked within the system. We're going to have a conversation about the realities of insurance. However, we're not going to discuss on this episode the Islamic perspective, the challenges Muslims face, and what practical steps can you take moving forward. That will be on our second episode. This is not about giving final rulings, but understanding, awareness, and making informed decisions. Insurance is one of the keys of protecting your life, assets, and wealth. So, whether you have been confused about insurance, avoiding it, or just going along with it without really thinking, this episode is for you. So, let's get into it. Habiba, welcome to the podcast Between Faith and Finance Navigating Wealth in the West. It's truly an honor to have you and also be my first guest. Some folks will probably ask, why insurance on your first episode? But we'll definitely discuss it here. Before we start discussing insurance, please tell us who you are and how long you have been in this industry.
Abdiwali, thank you so much for inviting me. And I really feel honored to be your first guest on this really important topic that is really under discussed and not very much understood in our community. My name is Habiba Golicha. I have been in the insurance industry for over 10 years. I practice in the state of Washington. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Habiba, when I was doing research for this episode, uh, I don't know anything about insurance. I just buy insurance when I need to. I discovered, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, I discovered in the United States, insurance is generally classified into two primary categories, even though there are a lot of insurance out there. Even when you go to Best Buy and you buy a product, they'll ask you, do you want to
Right.
insure this? But those primary categories are life and annuity and property and casualty.
Right.
While there is no single number for every niche policy, the industry is structured around several essential sectors that cover health, property, and financial risk. As Muslims, we are very sensitive to when it comes to life and annuity.
Right.
We'll discuss that later. However, we welcome property and casualty. For those of us who don't know what actually property and casualty insurance is, can you please explain to us what property and casualty insurance is?
Yes. So property and casualty, short, we call it PNC in the industry. Property just means what you hear, property. So it protects your interest in a property, be it a home, be it a business, be it a car, a vehicle. And casualty speaks to the risk that you take and what liability you could face. Casualty meaning what could arise out of a car accident, what could arise out of your landlord suing you. So basically, one is to protect your interest, and the other is to protect your uh, liability situation.
Perfect. You mentioned about auto.
Mhm.
I think that's probably one of the primary insurance that people are familiar with. And that is really something I want to take a moment to talk about this. I remember one time, it was actually you, to be honest. Uh, I joined your agency. When I say join, meaning I switched from one insurance agency to your insurance agency. And you looked at my limits and you were like, Abduwali, you are underinsured. You said, and I'm like, what do you mean I'm underinsured? I have the limits that the state of Washington requires. And then there's something you said that really stuck with me. And you said, Abduwali, you own properties. You own a property here. You are a family. You're transporting your kids. You are at risk of actually being liable for something. So when you said I was underinsured, what were you actually referring to?
So what I was referring to was basically the amount of insurance you purchased. When I quickly reviewed your policy, I found out you have 25,000, 50, 25, which is, yes, state limit requirement, but state limit requirement does not satisfy, it's not one fits all. You have to really think about your risk as a homeowner, property owner, in order for you to make a decision on the limits of your auto insurance. So if you have property, you have to have way more than state limits.
You know, I'm a numbers guy. I
Mhm.
remember, and I said compare what I had
Right.
to what you will offer. And then I said, what do you recommend? And you said, Abduwali, I recommend 250,000 something. And I was very surprised that the premium, the amount that I was going to pay every month, every 6 months, was not actually significantly high. That surprised me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I actually went up and bought that coverage.
Mhm.
Can you talk to more about that? That a lot of people are economically conscious. They're like,
Right.
why should I pay for extra $10 or extra $20 a month when I can just go by this? Tell us about
Right.
that.
Yeah. And so this is because we have to debunk the mentality that insurance is just a requirement that I have to carry because if I get pulled over, the cops want to say insurance. No, you want to go deeper than that. Why am I carrying insurance? Why am I, what does this product do for me? When it comes to bodily injury, liability comprises bodily injury and property damage to other people, what I could do to other people in an accident. So if you carry 25,000 bodily injury to other people and you own a home, what is an average home right now? The value of an average home,
$800,000 in King County.
let's say $800,000,
Yes.
right? Um, if you were to be in an accident and that was your fault, they and the person goes and gets a lawyer. They quickly assess what you have and decide how
Wow.
hard can I come after this guy. So 25,000 is really almost no insurance, as I tell my clients. So it's really important for you to look at that and at least get 250,000, because from there then the limit starts to get really expensive. But then there's a way you can even supplement that 250,000, which I'm sure you'll come into later, in order for you to feel properly protected.
I'm glad you mentioned that. When we
Yeah.
were discussing about that, you also mentioned something that I wasn't familiar with as an individual. You said, Abdul Ali, it was not required, it was optional. You said, Abdul Ali, I would recommend that you get an umbrella insurance. And I asked you, how much was that? And to my surprise, at that time, it was $400 or less for the whole year. Let's be honest, today, if you take your family out to a restaurant and you eat out for the night, and there's 4 or 5 of you, you're probably going to spend $200 at Cheesecake Factory. And for me, it was $400. And you said, yes, Abdul Ali, but it is $1 million coverage. So please, can you speak about umbrella insurance and the importance of actually
Mhm.
having umbrella insurance.
Yes. And this is, I can't thank you enough for doing this for the community, because this is something I've always done my best in educating our community, because we are a very hardworking community.
Yes, we are.
We come here, we work hard, we make money, we invest, but are we really protecting our property? Yes, we're Muslims. We believe Allah protects us, but at the end of the day, we have to tie our camel, right?
Yes, yes,
So umbrella, the way it works is, let's say you have 25,000 bodily injury.
yes. I'm listening to you, by the
Um,
way.
yeah, which actually does not qualify you for liability. So let's say you have 250,000, what you currently have to qualify for that umbrella. So you get 1 million after you run out of that 250,000. So your umbrella fits in. So quick example, you're driving, you hit somebody, they end up in the hospital, it's gonna cost $900, right? The lawsuit against you is $900. So your 250,000 from the vehicle ends there. What happens? What happens to the rest? 750. Your umbrella steps in and picks it up.
Wow.
Do you see how it protects your property? Because otherwise, they're gonna put a lien on your properties. They're gonna look at the assets you have.
Speaking of assets, can someone go like after my 401k, my cash in the bank?
They could.
Yeah, I know you're not a lawyer, but
Yes,
sometimes,
yes.
okay,
So depending on, and cases are person to person, but you're risking anything that's defined as assets
wow.
in the financial terms.
Honestly, I remember the example you used one time was, imagine somebody, a roofer, is cleaning your roof or is cutting your lawn and something cut them. They have the right to sue you.
Yes.
And sometimes insurance can be very scary. And from that day on,
Mhm.
I renew my umbrella insurance every year. I wanted to talk about, we covered auto insurance. We're just going to leave it at that.
Mhm.
For those of us who owned home insurance, I want to talk about that. But before we talk about home insurance, I remember I called you for an incident. That incident was a friend of mine, a family friend of mine, cut a neighbor's tree without their permission. And the neighbor took the homeowner to court. And the friend of the family had no idea how to approach this. And they called me and said, Abdul Ali, you're real estate agent, you do this, you do that, can you help us? And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about, honestly speaking. And I said, but let me call an insurance agent and see what they can say. I remember actually calling you and I said, Habiba, it's not me who it happened to. It happened to somebody. And the first thing you said was, uh, have them check their homeowner insurance and see if the home insurance actually covers that. In my mind, I never thought about lawsuit to a homeowner will be covered by the home insurance. And I'm going to give you a chance to respond to this. And I told that department, to say, hey, call your insurance company and tell them what happened. They did the following day. They come back and they said, Abdul Ali, the insurance say they're going to take it from here, let it go. Can you please talk about, when we talk about home insurance, we just think of, oh, if the roof collapses or if the home burns or if something happens, water floods, that's what they cover. But it actually covers more than that. Can you please talk about the
Definitely.
value of having good homeowner insurance?
Yes. So home insurance, of course, you understand that as a real estate agent, it covers first the structure. The most important coverage is the dwelling itself,
Yes.
which we all agree, we know that. However, there's a second portion that's really important, which is called personal liability.
Personal liability, okay.
And this personal liability not only covers you in the home if, guests fell, or if your handyman fell off the roof, but it could be something that else happened outside the home. For example, like this tree. I have an example of a client who walked into a really expensive restaurant and broke a vase that
Oh,
was apparently over 100,000.
wow.
Their personal liability section of the home insurance covered that.
Interesting.
Yes. So it covers you for personal liability that occurs even away from the home.
So imagine
Hmm.
if I didn't own a home,
Right.
but I broke that face. That was $100,000. What type of insurance will cover that?
If you don't a home, if you don't own a home, I suppose you are renting, right? I hope you have a renter's
That's my
insurance.
second topic. We'll talk about that.
Renter's insurance, just like your home insurance, has personal liability
Okay.
segment.
A lot of our community members are predominantly renters,
Right.
and rental insurance can be optional or required depending on the landlord. Can you please talk about the importance of renters insurance
Yes.
or having rental
Renters,
insurance?
yes. So renters insurance is for people who rent. Um, and a lot of people, just like car insurance, get it because it's a requirement. It's something I have to get. They don't look at it as this is a product I need, you know. So I always suggest to the clients I work with, get it, even if your landlord does not recommend it. Because one, it doesn't cover the dwelling because you don't own that, but it
Yes.
covers your personal property. Let's say there was a water damage. Whether you caused it or not, your property will be replaced. They'll give you somewhere to stay while they're working on that place. You get food for the days you're away from your home. And not only that, it also has personal liability. So minimum on a renters is like 100,000 because a lot of times renters don't have much
Yes.
in terms of assets, which is not always true, but mostly. So it's really, really important and it's very inexpensive.
Yeah. Something I want to talk about, you're a sister,
Hmm.
you're an African by descent,
Yes.
and a lot of our women love gold, right? And they're buying gold every year.
Yes.
And dehab, as we call it, right?
Yes.
And we store them in our house. Majority of us,
Mhm.
some of us don't even have a safety, or we
Mhm.
don't even put them in the bank.
Right.
Can if I was getting an insurance,
Mhm.
whether I am getting as a rental insurance or homeowner insurance, should I declare how much worth of gold I have in my house, that in the event that my house burns or I have burglary that comes into my house and takes all my gold,
Mhm.
so that I get the value back of my gold? The reason I ask for that is it happened to somebody in our community.
Yeah, I know a couple of people too that it happened to.
Yeah.
Uh, and yes, however, I'll say this. When it comes to home insurance and renter's insurance,
Yes.
it covers your regular property like your furniture,
Ah,
your
okay.
clothing, your everyday property. When it comes to valuable things like dahab, gold, expensive piece of art,
Yes.
collectibles, some people
Yes.
have things they collect, some
Yes.
people have like expensive golf clubs. There's a rider
Yeah.
that you can purchase
What is
separately.
it called?
Rider.
A writer. Okay.
Yes, and it's called personal articles policy.
Okay.
It's very inexpensive also.
Okay.
However, uh, if you look at your home insurance, there's something called a deductible, which is
Yes.
something that is an amount that comes out of your pocket before we settle the
Yes.
claim for you.
Hmm.
What is good about a personal articles policy? It does not have a deductible. You can
Interesting.
select zero.
Okay.
In that case, if something happened to the dahab,
Yes.
we pay it in full,
In full.
whatever the value of the dahab is.
Okay.
So this is really good. Go get an appraisal. Take pictures of your important jewelry, piece of art, expensive motorcycles. Take a picture. Expensive bicycles, not motorcycles. Take a picture, put it somewhere, have a professional appraisal, make sure the appraisal is current. Most insurance companies want the appraisal to be in the past 3 years to
Okay.
5 years.
Yes.
And just keep these things and get a personal articles policy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. We covered auto. We covered homeowners. We covered renters insurance,
Mhm.
and we covered umbrella.
Yes.
You know, I remember calling you a couple of months ago, and this is really very important to me. I'm a member of a community. You're a member of a community too as
Right.
well. I'm a member of my Somali community, and obviously we have a burial insurance as a Somali community.
Mhm.
For example, my family, I'm a family of five, and my premium to my community is $300 a year
Mhm.
that I pay.
Mhm.
And God forbid, if somebody within the community
Mhm.
who is part of that burial fund dies, the community covers that burial services.
Right.
It's very expensive to bury a Muslim in Seattle. Right now, we're looking at $11,000 to $12,000, depending on if you select Snohomish or if you select the Covington Cemetery.
Mhm.
And you mentioned something very interesting to me that time. You said, Abdulwali, there is something called burial insurance. I forgot the term, but you'll tell me.
Mhm.
And you said, and it's not expensive. And I said, tell me more. And you said, oh, if you're at this age, you're qualified for this. Can you please talk about burial insurance? And before you do that, if you can tell our followers if there are actually Muslim members or communities who are actually buying this and utilizing that.
Yes.
Yes.
So again, burial insurance, which is also known as final expense,
Final
because it's,
expense? Okay.
when you pass, it's your final expense, uh, is really a form of life insurance.
Okay.
So again, this is where I know there's varying, beliefs around it in our community and in our religion.
Yes.
But when you really look at life insurance, it almost works like what we do. I am from the Oromo community, the Somali community. We do the same thing. We put money together, and then if something strikes, we give you that money to take care of the burial, or to leave for the family. So life insurance, except for the permanent one, and I won't get into that, it really works just the same. You buy life insurance, you can buy 100,000 for 30 years to come, right? If something happens, you just pay. So you buy 100,000 for the next 30 years. You pay $50 or 100, depending on your age, right, and health, because life insurance premium is mostly driven by your age, gender, and health. The younger you are, the better if you get it. So I always suggest for people to get it for their children. For a young couple that just bought a home, get like a 20 or 30-year life insurance. And to answer your question, yes, there are Muslims who are getting it. There's varying beliefs about it, and there are people who have interested who have been interested to sit down with me and talk and ask questions, and make their own discernment and buy. So we sell it a lot to Muslims.
And this is called the final expense
The
insurance.
final expense, which mostly is. I recommend final expense for older clients.
Like how old, for example? How old do you have to be minimum to buy that
Um,
insurance to
I
qualify?
think you have to be in your 60s, 65 and above. Don't hold me to it. And I know different insurance companies have different age cutoffs,
Yes.
but also you cannot be, I think, past 78,
To buy that.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a sweet spot there for the age. So
Okay.
if you could get it in your 60s, that's great. If not, you should just get a regular life insurance, like a term life insurance,
Yes.
because it works like a final expense.
Yeah,
as
actually,
well.
that that
Funeral
is
burial.
that is my second
Yeah.
topic
Okay.
about life and annuity. But before I go there,
Mhm.
so the final expense basically is if somebody who was insured
Right.
by the final expense insurance,
Mhm.
all they have to do is just submit their death certificate, and a check is written to the survivor, the beneficiary,
Yes. Yes.
husband or wife, right?
Yes.
No
Yes.
question asked.
It's a very quick claim. It's quicker than an auto claim.
Quicker than auto claim.
Yeah.
Can we say, instead of, and I don't want people, posting, I'm not advocating for this,
Mhm.
right? Because I want people to do their own research. This is the whole point of having this discussion.
Mm.
And instead of putting burden on my community to come up with the final expense of $11,000, $12,000, can I say I'm actually switching the risk from my community to this larger insurance company by paying an annual premium of say $300 a month, or sorry, $300 a year or $400 a year? And if I die at the age of 65, you know, I'll be buried by my community or by my beneficiary,
Mhm.
and then they'll get reimbursed for 11. So you're shifting risk from your community to
Right.
this big Fortune 500 company, insurance company. So
Yes.
that's for another day debate.
Yeah.
Life and annuity insurance is our second topic. We already talked about property and casualty insurance. And on my introduction, I mentioned that a lot of our community, especially the believers, they frown upon when they hear life insurance. I didn't know more about life, but I learned a lot about life insurance. There's actually something called term life insurance, whole life insurance, universal life insurance.
Right.
And for but when we think of life insurance, it says life insurance protects your family when you die. Annuities are designed to pay you income when you are alive, especially in retirement.
Mhm.
When I was doing this also, I've learned there's also mortgage life insurance. There is one of the commercials said, you are alive and you had a heart attack and you're disabled. What will happen to your house if it's on a mortgage? You're no longer working. There is no income coming. There's no mortgage being paid. And I'm like, oh my God, that could be me tomorrow. Yes, I'm healthy. I'm earning salary right now. But what can happen to me down the line? And I'm only one income household. Can you speak to about the different types of life insurance? Remember, we're not advocating against life insurance. We just want people to understand the types of life insurance that exist there.
Right. So I'm going to preface this by saying that we're not advocating for this. We're not, I am not representing any company. I am giving a general information of insurance concept uh, as a professional in this industry. So yes, you mentioned two things. You mentioned in your example, if you own a home and you pass, or if you get disabled. So two things there. There's life insurance and there's disability insurance. Disability insurance, you haven't died, you're still here, but you're not able to work, right? So life insurance is if you're a healthy individual who's working and paying a mortgage and something drastic happens and you pass. That's when life insurance, then the benefits will be used by your beneficiary to even pay off the home or put it in a bank and just pay your mortgage every month like you were still here. That is something you could do for your wife and children, right? You can still help them maintain that lifestyle while you're not here. So there isn't a specific, depending on, some companies might just call it mortgage insurance, but really it's just a type of life insurance that you buy, which the one I recommend for homeowners, as soon as they buy a home, I recommend a 30-year life insurance, term life.
By the way, you did, and I declined. Just want to disclose that here.
I did, and you declined.
Yes.
And some people decline, some people buy, right? So you purchase a home, I immediately recommend 30 or even 20-year, depending on your age, because sometimes I might not be able to qualify you for 30-year if you're past the age limit. So what that does is it protects you during your mortgage paying years, because mostly mortgages are about 30-year
Yes.
terms. So if something happens to you during this time, depending on how much you bought, usually I recommend 1 million, but you can buy 500, depending on your budget. You get a lump sum.
One time.
One time.
Wow.
You can make a decision. You can, while you're getting the policy, say, I want this done in bits by bit. Or you can buy this life insurance policy and then create a will that dictates how this money would be, passed on to your beneficiary. Without going that far, I just want our audience to get the concept of mortgage insurance. It's really just a type of life insurance that
By the
you
way,
buy.
you spoke about will, and that's part of our episode. We're gonna we're gonna cover it in different episode.
Yeah.
I know that there was a lot there. There was the life insurance and disability. I want to talk about disability insurance. I remember when I was an employee, um, my company offered disability insurance, and it was actually a fixed amount that they will say we'll pay for it. But as an employee, I was giving options to buy different insurance. Long-term disability insurance. I have to pay some premium and stuff. but as a practicing Muslim, I declined those.
Mhm.
But the company required me to enroll the minimum short-term disability. Uh, can like I I was surprised uh, when I debate with my community members. They say,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is haram." I say, "Well,
Mhm.
the state of Washington collects LNI, labor industry or workman's comp.
Mhm.
So if you get injured at the job and you're not able to work, you're being covered by the state. However, you're not being paid by your full salary, mostly 60%,
Mhm.
where the short-term disability or the long-term disability that your employer provides or the ones that insurance companies sell actually match dollar for dollar. Can you please talk about that?
Yes. So some companies provide long term,
Yes.
some provide short term. And again, as a community that is so hardworking, we depend on ourselves, on
Yes.
our bodies to get to these jobs, to get to these businesses. What if something happens tomorrow? Let's say you're a barber.
Yes.
You something happens and you cannot cut hair anymore. Um, what happens is, be it short term or long term, we pay you base a percentage. Also, I'm gonna be honest and say it's not full
Okay.
amount of what you make, but it's a good percentage of what you make for a good amount of
Time.
time,
Yes.
right? So it's good to really have disability insurance, especially if you work with your hands,
With
and
the hands.
especially if you're in the industry that is laborious. um, but I mean, these days I recommend it to everybody. Even if you don't work in the labor industry, you work with your fingers on a computer,
Yes.
you could one day not be able to do that.
Mm.
So definitely something I do recommend.
Habiba,
Hmm.
as a CPA, there is always something that I, I struggle with in
Uh-huh.
my community,
Hmm.
especially for those of us who are self-employed.
Hmm.
We're not bashing anybody here, but
Hmm.
some people they like to underreport their income,
Hmm.
and when they underreport their income, their whole objective is to pay the least of taxes, and then nature strikes or casualty happens or an accident happens, and when you ask your insurance, we didn't cover general liability, but
Hmm.
it's part of that general liability. When you tell your insurance company, hey, my business is no longer operating, or I used to make this much sales, I need to
Hmm.
be covered. The first thing they ask you is show as your records,
The tax
right? Your
information.
tax information.
Mhm.
And as a CPA, someone will come to me and say, Abdul Ali, the insurance company is declining. They're not giving me my fair share. I was making this. And I'll tell them, well, they're asking you for A and B and C, and you provide it, but you're telling me a different information. Two things are not matching. Can you please talk about that?
Yes. So when it comes to business insurance, there's a question on the quote when I always, when
Yes.
having an appointment with the client,
Yes.
it asks, how much do you make annually? Or if it's a new business that you're just starting and you don't know, how much do you anticipate to make?
Yes.
Because you can always update that amount as we go.
Yes.
Um, the reason we ask this, and I know people from our community are always uncomfortable with that question, is because we want to know the amount of income to pay you in case of a claim,
Yes.
right? And if you don't give us the true amount, if you give us less than what you make or you anticipate to make, you will not get what you're used to in case you have an accident at your business or in case you have a claim. So I really would urge our people to just be honest. No, no fear behind that. It's not going to be used against you in any way.
Yes.
It's really just to make sure we take care of you properly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Habiba, there is, I don't know if this is true or not.
Mhm.
Lately, there has been an increase on insurance premiums across the board.
Mhm.
Even my renewal is due, and my premium is going up. And but it's going up because the industry is going up.
Mhm.
But I noticed that insurance are also using different ways of rating who you are, uh, your credit score,
Mhm.
your education,
Mhm.
how long you had insurance, your zip code. You know that. many factors.
Right.
Is that true, or is that part of it's included? Is a factor as the premium you get?
Yes. So when it comes to rating, which is really not part of my job, it's the actuaries that do that
Yes.
in the back. But there are things, it's divided into two things. There's things you have control over, and there's things you don't have control over.
Yes.
So things like, your gender, your age, where you do have control over where you live, but you
Yes.
live where you live.
Yes.
So um, things that the type of car that you decide to drive, how long you've had insurance, your making your record with the company. What kind of a client are you? Do you make your payments promptly? Do you have billing issues? Do you have accidents and records, tickets? So some of these things we can control and some we cannot. For example, what has been happening in the past three, I want to say, to even 5 years, is that insurance, especially after the pandemic, has started to go up. And might I add, during the pandemic, people got the COVID relief for insurance. It
Ah, okay.
really went down because we did not have a lot of driving activity. So claims did collectively go down in the industry. And so the industry was rewarding clients by just really lowering rates. But as we came off that, we were going back to the regular rating, and
Ah,
customers were feeling like, oh, premiums are really going up.
okay.
But no, we're just going back to what we used to,
Stabilizing.
stabilizing,
Okay.
right? And then from there, then the economy, it is what it is right now. A can of milk wasn't what it was a year
Absolutely.
ago, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Rent isn't what it is 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So insurance really is that product that goes with cost of living,
Yeah.
because we're looking at the insurance company is looking at the expenses of replacing a vehicle, replacing a human being's arm or leg if something happens to you. Medical care is expensive. So when these things go up, insurance goes up with it. So the best thing to do is control the controllables. That's what I
Control
always
the
tell
controllables.
That's what I tell our clients.
Yes.
Drive safe. Try to stick with one client company.
Company.
This I really want to let our community know. Please stay in one place.
Yes.
Every insurance company does eventually increase premium.
Yes.
So if you hop from one company to another, we can see it in the database.
Database. Yes.
So we all collectively rate you as an expensive client.
As a banking client, because you're shopping
Yes,
around.
you're shopping around.
Yes.
So companies want you to stay in one place, and mostly in the state of Washington, after 3 years, you start getting something called longevity discount, or loyalty discount, or good driver discount, or accident-free discount. Every company has different names for it,
Yes.
which is how you really start to save money. So just control what you can control.
So you should be rewarded for being loyal. Basically, you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's nothing wrong with shopping around, though, right?
Shop around, see what you have, because as a consumer, at the end of the day, everything boils down to money, right?
Yes.
We're all trying to cut cost and save money, but also make sure you want to maintain a relationship with a company that gives you good quality coverage,
Yes.
and that relationship turns into saving money.
Yes.
Yeah. So
You, is it better if I is it better that I should go with a broker versus we're not going to mention any companies here,
right.
but is it better for me to go with a broker
Mhm.
or should I stay with those, nice, good commercials, by
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, my favorite player, that commercial
Captive,
like
we call them captive companies.
captive
Yeah.
companies. That's the word, captive companies.
Mhm.
Um, because in my opinion, I feel like I get better coverage with captive companies
Mhm.
versus a broker.
Yeah.
And I'm being biased maybe because of I've been with the same company for quite a while,
Mhm.
so I get that benefit of being a loyal client for a while. What would you say about that?
So to answer that question, Abduli, I wouldn't say one is better than the other,
Yes.
but definitely when it comes to captive companies,
Yes.
the business model is relationship based.
Yes.
the brokers, they will jump you from company to company,
Company.
from company. So you feel like you're with one company and people don't understand because they're with a certain agents. They're with ABC Insurance Company or insurance agency,
Yeah.
but ABC Insurance Agency represents, let's say, 15 carriers. So
Yes.
they're jumping you around every time you call and say, oh, my premium is high. So that means you're losing insurance history when
Ah,
they change you around. But in your mind, I'm with ABC
BC.
agency. I'm
Yes.
staying with these people.
Yeah.
You don't know that they're representative of a carrier,
Yes.
so they're not keeping you with one.
Yeah.
With captive agents, you know you're with that company, and that's who you're staying with unless you really leave.
Yes.
So it's easier to build loyalty discounts or time with captive companies than it is with brokers who can jump you around. But if you're with a broker, you can just let the agent know, I just want to stay with this company. Don't change me around. Just
Okay.
keep me here, review my policy, and see if I can save money. That's another way to just help you stay in one place.
Well, I have to disclose, I
Yeah.
do get a birthday card
Mhm.
and a Starbucks card on my birthday from the captive company.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get that from a broker. Habiba, we can be here all day
Yeah.
talking about insurance, but we will not be able to cover.
Hmm.
To conclude our first episode of Between Faith and Finance, I'm just going to ask you two questions. The first question is, if I'm just an individual right now
Hmm.
and I don't own a home, and whether I'm single or married is a different thing. You know, what advice will you give me for me not to be underinsured, overinsured, overinsured? I
Hmm.
just want to be insured. I want to be
Right.
protected.
Hmm.
I don't, back home in Somalia, if I cost a damage, that
Hmm.
damage is for the whole community. The
Right.
whole tribe pays for that,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
It's a good thing to have it, but we're not in Somalia or Ethiopia right now, right?
Or
Or in the,
Kenya.
or Kenya. You're from Kenya, I forgot,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But I would like this insurance to be my community, the one
Right.
that protects my life, my assets,
Hmm.
and my risk. So,
Right.
what advice will you give to that person?
Simple advice is sit with a professional.
Stick with a professional.
Second, yes, sit with a professional, let them educate you. Listen past, I want to save money. This is what I would wish our community to
Let
do.
go. I want to save money.
Don't let it go. It's still important.
Is it
I
okay?
say make it secondary, right? Tell your insurance professional, I just purchased a car. Even if it's an old car,
Yes.
you put your money in this car. You want proper coverage. You don't want to lose money trying to save money, right?
Yes.
So sit with an insurance professional who you believe has your best interest at heart and not just selling you. Understand the policy, understand what you're buying, why you're buying it, what does it do for me. This is why these professionals you're paying are there,
Yeah.
right? Understand what liability means, what is comprehensive, right? Um, then, secondly, move your mindset from insurance is just an obligation. No, insurance is a product you need.
Product you need. It's not a.
Just
Yeah.
like you need to pay rent, just like you need a car to get around, just like it's a need. So you need to really understand why you're purchasing it and also looking at it as something that you need that's helping you protect your wealth and live in this Western world, in this capitalist, system, and not as something that is just my landlord is trying me to get it or the bank needs me to get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My last question for you was,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm a homeowner and I have a family and I have children and I don't want to be underinsured or overinsured, what would you recommend?
I always recommend to get more than you think you should get. A
Okay.
lot of people, insurance is like a whole second language,
Yes.
right? We're speaking English now, but there are words I have talked to doctors, I have talked to lawyers, I have talked to financial experts like you who really don't understand
I
insurance.
still don't.
So the biggest thing, even to answer that, how you figure out what is enough for you is by sitting with a professional. Let them sit down, answer questions, take time, let them know I have children, I have a business, I own properties. What do you think I should do? Don't go in with the mindset of, because it's not one size that fits all.
Yes.
Everybody has different needs. So, really understanding what you need, getting a professional to work with. It's just like, going to a doctor. You want to understand why the doctor is giving you medicine. You need, so
By the
get a
way, yeah,
professional.
I whenever I mentioned in the beginning, I'm a real estate agent.
Hmm.
Also, whenever I have a client who buys a home,
Hmm.
I always recommend. I say
Hmm.
also get an umbrella insurance.
Yes.
You know, because I didn't have it before,
Hmm.
and thank you for educating me about
Hmm.
umbrella insurance. That thing. Well, this is really our episode. I
Yeah.
want to thank you for coming. I hope to have you more for different products.
Inshallah.
And for those of you who are watching this, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to share time with you. This is Between Faith and Finance, Navigating Wealth in the West. And until I see you next, please subscribe and follow us both on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We will have a follow up episode to this episode where I will bring an expert who is expert in Islamic jurisprudence that will tell us the types of insurance that are permissible in the West. Yes, some insurance, depending on the school of thought as a Muslim that you're from, might be considered haram. But as we all know, as we can all agree, insurance is a necessity living in the West because it can protect your life, your asset, and can also protect uh, and also defer some of the risks. So thank you until next time. Assalamu alaikum.